The Season 2 update dropped and they added a few new weapons, making everyone think that those are the go-to ones, but they're actually not that good. So for today, I have for you the actual top 5 meta weapons with the best classes that you should be using. So the Cypher 091 really isn't that good of an AR. When I first was using it, I thought it was one of the best ARs in the game, but then I was looking at the TTKs and it's actually one of the slowest killing ARs and it has a slow fire rate. So if you miss any shots, it drastically goes up. The only other AR that's going to kill slower is going to be the GPR, which if you do mix in some headshots, it does make it a very good weapon. Now, I will give you guys a Cypher class in case you guys do want that, but the better ARs in the game are going to be like the AK, the KRIG, and then the other ones are, you know, kind of slower. Even the XM4 isn't that good, but the XM4 has such a fast fire rate, making it very forgiving, and so that's why it's going to be on the list today. And then I got you guys with a couple good SMG classes. Now, for the Cypher class, it's going to be a pretty simple build. Because that fire rate is way slower, you don't really want to, you know, miss any shots, so we're going to make it more forgiving by adding the rapid fire. We are losing a lot of our recoil control and that damage range, but this gun already has a pretty good damage range, and we are going to be mitigating that to where that's not going to really matter. Plus, you're not going to have any recoil whatsoever. Our effective damage range with the rapid fire is going to be 50 meters, which is completely OD for multiplayer, and so it doesn't matter the scenario that you're in, you should be able to get that very consistent TTK, and then you're not going to have to lead your shots since your bullet velocity is almost 900 meters per second. Since the gun is a little bit bouncy with the rapid fire, we are going to be adding the porta compensator, eliminating a lot of that first shot recoil. And then for the underbarrel, we're going to be adding the vertical. I was going to add like the ranger, but the mobility is already pretty good to where I was getting a little bit more value out of the vertical foregrip. And then just so you can play a little bit more aggressive with the weapon, we are going to be using the ergonomic, cutting down on that slide to fire delay. If you guys do want to add an optic, I would take off the rear grip and then add whichever optic you want. You could even add a magazine, but the fire rate's not that fast where you don't really need a mag. Now, if you guys do want to run the gunfighter, you do obviously have to add the gunfighter wildcard. We're going to go over to the magazine. We're going to add the extended mag 1. Might as well add an optic on there, get that precision sight. Then we're going to go over to the reticle, add that blue dot. It just looks too clean. We're not going to add a laser. We're going to go over to that stock and add the infiltrator. This is going to allow you to strafe very fast, making it very difficult for the enemies to hit you. Right, here's a very good gunfighter build, and then you could even add the suppressor and then add the recoil springs if you do want to be off the radar. Now, for the first gun on this list, it's going to be the KRIG C, the second fastest killing AR, minus the AS Val. The AS Val is like very good up to like 20 meters, but that, you know, kind of feels more like an SMG. And so the only AR that kills faster than the KRIG is going to be the AK. The KRIG is very easy to use and you have a little bit more mobility, and so I think more of you guys will like the KRIG, although I do like the AK more, and so I will be giving you guys a class for that. For the optic, we are going to be adding the Kepler Microflex. I think the iron sights are horrible on the gun. You're going to do a lot better with that Kepler. For the muzzle, we're going to be adding that ported, making it so those first few shots have no recoil. Again, if you spam out a lot of bullets, the compensator will be better, but you're killing the enemies so fast with this gun that you should do a little bit better with that ported. The damage range is already at 41 meters, and so we don't really need to add a barrel. With the gunfighter build, though, you can make it extra OP. Under barrel, we have to add the vertical foregrip. Before, this thing had no recoil and a very fast TTK, but now there's a lot of recoil. It's going to make it a little bit easier to hit those shots, which is why we do have the recoil springs on there, just to add a little bit more control. A lot of the time, the recoil springs only add like 5% gun kick, vertical and horizontal. In this case, it adds like 10 to 15% for each of those values, making it very worthwhile, and you're going to do a lot better with the recoil springs. I did kind of want to add a rear grip on here, but I was just running out of ammo to where the extended mag was a little bit more beneficial for me, but you could take off the extended mag, go over here and add the ergonomic grip, which is what we're going to be adding for that gunfighter build. So now we have a little bit more mobility and we don't really have to worry about reloading. We can maximize that damage range by adding the reinforce. Yes, the long barrel is very good, increasing it to 60 meters, but that is so OD. You're going to have to lead your shots because your bullet velocity isn't going to be enough. So the reinforce is going to boost up that bullet velocity as well as that damage range as much as we need. And then lastly, for the stock, we're going to add that balance stock. You guys can see that we have the double arrows for this, so we get so much strafe speed, hip fire, the regular strafe, all types of strafe speed. You're going to be maxing out those values. Right here is going to be my favorite gunfighter KRIG C build. Next up, we're going to be having the PPSH, which the PPSH honestly isn't that good, but it also is very good. By the way, if you're not enjoying the camo grind or you just simply don't have time, check out my long-term sponsor, Guapsi. They will legitimately play in your account to hard unlock literally anything that you want. And this goes for Warzone, zombies, and multiplayer. I've been working with them for a very long time, and I still haven't seen a single negative review. Since they don't use an unlock tool, they don't hack, they do it the right way. And so if you want to free up your time and energy, check out the top link link out of the description and visit guapc.com. This is all the TTKs from the SMGs in the game. Keep in mind there's no attachments, but we kind of add the same attachments on every gun, so that's not going to be too relevant. First thing, you guys can see that the PPSH is going to be the white line. After 31 meters, you're going to have a very, very fast TTK. It's going to be paired up with that JACKAL, but sometimes the PPSH is a little bit easy to use, and then between like 16 and 31 meters, you are also going to have the fastest TTK, making it a lot better than that JACKAL, and why it's probably going to be out of ranked play pretty soon. The biggest downside of the PPSH is that the mobility isn't that good, so a lot of time when you're going into a gunfight, you'll slide ADS into the gunfight and you don't fire till you're fully ADS. That slow ADS can make the gun kill a little bit slower compared to the JACKAL, where you have a very fast ADS. And then up close, it's not going to be the best, but it is going to be outgunning majority of those SMGs, so I did want to add it to this list, and I think this is going to be the best gun in the Season 2 update. That Fang 82 LMG is very good, but it's just that open bolt delay makes it a little bit annoying, so that's why I didn't want to include it to the list. The PPSH, since you're going to be doing very good at basically any range, you want to be off the radar, making it so much easier to build up that streak. This build doesn't have that much recoil, especially when you are warmed up with it, so the suppressor is definitely the better option. For the barrel, we're going to add that long barrel, maximizing that damage range. If you're making your own builds on like SMGs, always add that long barrel. The reinforced barrel actually sometimes is pretty nice, but I just feel I get more value out of that long barrel. But if you're getting a lot of ghost bullets, maybe you're on that high ping, you're getting packet burst, you're definitely going to want to do the reinforced barrel, which honestly I've been getting a lot of packet burst recently. Every update I get insane packet burst, so the reinforced for me is going to be better. Next up, to remove a lot of that side to side bounce, we're going to be adding that vertical foregrip, maximizing horizontal recoil control. For the magazine, I feel like the gun is so much more enjoyable with the extended mag 2. The fire rate's very fast. You're going to be blowing through ammo, to where I like this. You might like the extended mag 1 if I'm on a if I'm playing search and destroy, usually the extended mag 1, or you could even take off the magazine, then you could add something else of your liking. For the stock, I was previously using the combat stock so I can increase that slide to fire speed, but a lot of the time, like, I wouldn't be able to fire my gun just because I'm not fully ADS'd yet, to where the quick draw grip, I was getting a lot more benefit from it. I think you guys are going to like the quick draw. Maximize that ADS speed. It's going to bring it up by about 30%, I believe, making the gun feel so much snappier, even though we have a extended mag 2 on the gun. Right here's my favorite 5 attachment PPSH. For the gunfighter build, which I don't really think you need gunfighter on this, just because they combine the stock with the rear grip, so you kind of get like 2-in-1 attachments on there. We're gonna go over to the we're gonna go over to the fire mods, and we are gonna be adding the recoil springs. The rapid fire is fun, but you have to add that compensator, and even then the gun's gonna be a little bit hard to use, to where I think you'll do a lot better with the recoil springs, just making the gun more consistent. Then you actually can get away with adding the ranger foregrip, since we're getting recoil control, and then now you can move around feeling lighter, since remember what I was saying, that mobility isn't that good. I think the iron sights are fine, but so I just, even though we have an extra slot, I'm still gonna be adding I'm not gonna be adding an optic. For the laser, we're going to be adding the Strelok laser, increasing the hip fire to ADS accuracy, and the enemies won't see your laser, so you're perfectly fine with that. It just makes it save 100% accuracy before fully ADS, and then you have that fast ADS, so it just basically makes the gun a little bit easier to use if you're like jump shotting and things like that. I just missed everything. Right here, it's going to be my favorite gunfighter PPSH. Again, you can add an optic. I just feel like it's a little bit criminal to add an optic onto your SMGs. Also, don't look at anything over here. I'm in a custom match right now, just a little bit easier for these top 5s to make it in here, and that's why I have access to the slipstream. A lot of things that actually aren't out in the game yet, like that war machine, you can use those in the custom games. Next up, we're going to be going over the AK-74. I'll try to speed this up a little bit. For the optic, we're going to be adding the Kepler Microflex. You could take this off for maybe a magazine, or you could add the vertical foregrip if you want more recoil control, but since we are using the suppressor, the gun is going to be a little bit bouncier, to where it's a little bit hard to use those iron sights, and you'll be more consistent with the Kepler, and the suppressor just allows you to stay off the radar, and well, we all know that. But this gun just kills so fast, and you can go in those crazy streaks, and I hate dying to just having the enemies know where I'm at, to where I honestly prefer the suppressor on the gun. If you want to maximize control, use that porta compensator. For the barrel, we're going to be adding that reinforced barrel. There really isn't that much damage range on the gun. Without this, it only goes up to like 38 meters, and then the bullet velocity is good enough, but so I just want to increase the damage range, just make it take less shots. You get that more consistent 3-shot kill. The ADS speed's insanely slow, so we're going to be using the quick draw grip. Ergonomic is pretty good if you can get away with it, but the ADS is just so slow, where you get way more value out of the quick draw. And then the gun is bouncy, like I was saying, with that suppressor, so the recoil springs is definitely going to be the better option on here. Right here's one of my favorite 5 attachment AK-74, and then if you do want to rock the gunfighter build, which is kind of like the way that most people like to use the AK, you can make it like extra overpowered. We're going to go over here, add the ranger foregrip. Again, if you're not that good, you probably want to use the vertical, but for me, I'm warmed up, I would rather move around a little bit faster. Then we're going to be adding the fast mag just so you can reload faster. The fire rate's pretty slow. You don't really blow through ammo that fast. You're just going to maybe die when you're reloading, where the fast mag does come in clutch. Nuketown though, usually extended mag 1. For the stock, we are going to go over here and we are not going to be adding the balance because you only get like a little bit of strafe speed. We're going to be adding the infiltrator stock to maximize that strafe speed, making yourself a very hard target to hit. You guys can see that the strafe is pretty fast. Without it, it's pretty slow, and so now you're just going to be off the radar. Pretty good range, pretty good recoil control, and it's going to be very hard for the enemies to hit you. And then we're going to not add a laser. So right here is my favorite gunfighter, AK-74. For the next gun, the fourth one on this list is going to be the JACKAL PDW. If you do get to like prestige 8 or 9 level 50, you unlock like a Timu VMP one. On my other account, I have that one, but Guapsi grinded out my Warzone, the zombie, and the multiplayer camos on this one, so that's why I'm using this account now. And yes, these iron sights are good, but the VMP ones are just so much better where you have to unlock those. So for the muzzle though, we are going to be adding the suppressor. In rank play, obviously you want to use the compensator, but in multiplayer you're going to be streaking up. This is going to make it a little bit easier. For the barrel, now we're actually going to be using the reinforced barrel. I was watching the CDL today, the LA Thieves versus FaZe, and a few of the players were actually, I think it was like Envoy and Simp, were using the reinforced barrel. I tried it out and it honestly feels absolutely amazing. Just makes it so you don't really have to lead your shots, but at certain engagements it is going to take an extra shot compared to if you were using the long barrel. And so that's why you see a lot of people using the long barrel or the reinforced. Just definitely try out the reinforced now. For the underbarrel, we are going to be using the Ranger foregrip. Obviously, if you want to maximize control, you're going to want to add the vertical underbarrel, but for me, I was doing better with that Ranger. Usually we would have a stock instead of a magazine, but in pubs, bro, you're just streaking up to where the extended mag is definitely going to be the better option on there. And then lastly, for the rear grip, you don't want to have any delays when you do go into that gunfight. You can play very aggressively. You don't want to be hindered by playing aggressive, so the ergonomic definitely going to come in clutch there. For the gunfighter build, again, you could make this thing very, very OP, but you probably will get more value out of having extra perks on that perk green. But if you do want the gunfighter build, we're going to go over here, add the balance stock. So now we have so much strafe speed as well as a lot of ammo. We're going to go over to the fire mods, add the recoil springs, a little bit OD. You could add the rapid fire, but it hurts that range, and so the gun's only going to be really, really OP up close. Like if you're on stakeout, rapid fire is definitely the way to go, but for most of the time you just want to be more consistent, so might as well add the recoil springs. And for the laser, again, we're going to be adding that Strelok laser. Right, here's my favorite gunfighter, JACKAL PDW. For the last one on this list, it's going to be the XM4. Like I was saying, it's not the fastest killing AR, but you have a lot of mobility, and it just has a very fast fire rate, so it's very forgiving, and that's why you see a lot of people with it and why it's my personal favorite gun in the game. Now, they did kind of mess up the gun. I don't know why they did this, so this is going to be not my favorite class, but the class I have to use now. You guys will see in a second. The iron sights aren't that good. If you like the iron sights, that's awesome for you. Then you can add a stock or you could add a barrel, but I do so much better with the Kepler. There's not that much recoil in the gun. You do not need extra recoil control. You get so much more value out of a suppressor. The damage range is decent. I would like to take off the underbarrel for the barrel, but you guys will see why I can't. But the damage range at 40 meters and then bolt velocity 750, that's going to be decent, not too bad. Underbarrel, this is going to make the gun feel lighter, allowing you to play aggressive, since you can play aggressive with the weapons, so might as well make it a little bit easier. You're going to be going on streaks, you're going to be blowing through ammo. The fire rate's decently fast, so the extended mag one does come in clutch, but you could take off the magazine, go over here, add the reinforced barrel, getting a lot more damage range and more bolt velocity for your weapon. And then for the rig up, we're going to be adding the ergonomic, cutting down on a lot of those delays. Now, what I was saying before, so I'd really like to add the reinforced barrel, no underbarrel, because you don't really need it, but now we got a fucking thumb in the sight. I don't know if they meant to do this, but it's extremely annoying. Like, it just pisses me off when I'm using it, and so that's why I put this as like the last gun on this list, and why the gunfighter XM4 could be the all-time meta for the gun. So now you get more damage range, more bolt velocity. You don't have to lead your shots, they're doing more damage, and then you also can move around faster while having less recoil, and you don't have a fucking thumb in your scope. And for the stock, we are going to go over here, add the balance stock. Typically I wouldn't add the balance because we only get double arrows for a little bit of the strafe speed, not all sorts of type, but it just makes the weapon feel a little bit better up close. So we're going to go up to the fire mods and add the rapid fire. This can increase that rate of fire, making so we can actually kill the enemies about 9% faster. Just keep in mind the damage range isn't going to be crazy, but it's just so unbelievably good with the rapid fire. You guys might not be able to hit your shots with this gunfighter build, so you might want to do like the porta compensator on there, but if you're warmed up, you should do fine with that. If you don't really care for rapid fire, honestly, I would just add the recoil springs, making the gun, you know, that much more consistent. With all that yapping out of the way though, it's going to wrap it up for the top 5 best weapons, and I showed you guys the stats and everything and why I chose these weapons. I hope you guys did enjoy. Hope you guys didn't like the update, and leave a like, subscribe, deuces.